fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top
Oh my god!
Oh.
Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Are you spending a lot of time looking for setups and struggling for faster lap times? Are you tired of searching online for answers? Would you like to get setups, analysis and tutorials from some of the best sim racers in the world like Ralph Alla, Mitchell de Jong, Martin Krunker, Josh Rogers and many more? If so, virtualracingschool.com is the answer you've been looking for. VRS data packs provide hot laps from our professional coaches for you to analyse and replicate. They provide tutorials that walk you through the fastest laps and what the pros did to achieve the best times. And they provide the setups you need to ensure your car is competitive in both oval and road racing. If you're ready to get faster and reach more podiums sooner than later, just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a free account today.
Can never let them rest in Australian production car E-Series, because for the third round in a row, our third different format here at the famous Mount Panorama Circuit, Bathurst, New South Wales, for a special Australian production car E-Series Enduro. Makes a change from round one with 3 20-minute races, round two with the 20-minute and 40 race. Here at Mount Panorama, we are going, as is the style, endurance racing. Thank you for joining us on SimSpeed TV for coverage. I'm David Haynes, joined by Jay Kennedy. Jay, the track looks great. We saw some really amazing racing at Phillip Island last week, and that gives me a lot of hope for the kind of competitive racing, but hopefully clean up front, that we can have again.
Yeah, hopefully we see some brilliant racing once again, and you're right, it was very, very clean and very, very respectful. A little bit of argy-bargy back in the field, but sort of what you expect in MX5 racing, and what a track to wrap this season up with, heading to the mountain, one of the best tracks in the world, and I will debate that with anyone openly. It is an incredible place.
I'm definitely a fan. Been there before, we'll go there again. Always excited to see some racing here, especially something that lets the drivers work into a rhythm, set some strategy, and then slipstream down the long Conrod Straight. Just one of the interesting sections of the track highlighted right here. Plenty of history to this circuit. 6.2 kilometers and some very well-known corners. Got to love Skyline, the S's, Forest Elbow, the Chase. You've got to love the cutting as well, where the drivers are so committed right up against the concrete walls, all the way through there and Reed Park and towards McPhillamy Park. Always a delight to see good drivers in quick cars around here, and exactly how close they get to those limits. The kind of language and attitude we see as the cars launch over the crests and across the curbs. Always delightful. And then in these MX5s, look for incredible amounts of slipstreaming from Forest Elbow towards the Chase, but indeed, and many other places as well, up the mountain straight, even along the pit straight, I dare say.
Yeah, and we always say that you can judge a good racetrack by a track that doesn't have corner numbers, that has corner names, and every single section of this track has a name, whether it's the straights, the corners, or just the little quirky bits in between with the newly named. It's very, very modern. It only recently has been called metal grate. Like, to think that never used to be called that, and it's only been the last 10, 15 years that we've sort of named that area metal grate. But it's an amazing circuit and one of the best in the world. Format tonight, though, very, very interesting. Drivers can make around about 13 odd laps on fuel. There is one compulsory pit stop for fuel. No tyre changes needed, so that's a first for the series. But 2-lap solo qualifying, pit stops, and a random safety car at some point. The drivers have no idea when that will be. Guess whose hands it's in, Haynes? It's yours and mine.
What, really?
I've done the random number generator, yes, and
okay,
yeah,
good. Well,
it's
I'm
in our
happy for you to
hands.
not tell me.
I'm happy
actually.
to not tell you either then. But yeah, we've got the power tonight, so we can spice it up if we think we need to. But well, I don't think we will. I think the drafting is going to keep this race close, and it's going to be very, very fun to watch. I think that the driver that plays it smart and can save fuel to get down to 1 stop and not need to do 2 is going to be the one that wins the race.
Very possible. The drivers are just going through that qualifying right now, as you mentioned in the format. Solo qualifying before we get into a 30-lap race. That's going to be around 75 minutes or so, isn't it? So that's plenty of time to really get into a rhythm here. A lot of the drivers have put their first qualifying time on the board now and looking to improve on the second. You can see what the standings look like at the moment. Ryan Casher up the top, 10th clear of Jack Boyd. And, you know, a 10th wasn't much around Oran Park. A 10th of a second is fractionally less around a huge track like Bathurst. That's absolutely nothing. Look at Hydes and Hughes and championship leader Hobson in 5th there as well. So how committed through the chase for Caleb Hydes, because he would be looking to improve, no doubt.
100% will be looking to improve, and he'll be hoping that this lap puts him to P1 by a fair bit, but well and truly out of control. Coming into Murray's corner, he does save it very, very well and still improves on that lap. So very, very good run there for Caleb Hydes. Does go P1.
Yeah, Jack Boyd immediately eclipses him though, so it was maybe a little scruffy through the final corner, but using all of the track as you can and as you should. What about that? Oh, is that lap gonna count? Is that Hobby?
That is the 12 car of Andrew Hobby, yes. And it did not count, so neither laps for him counted. And I think that Brody Cook right here, he might have trouble making this lap count. He might have trouble bringing the front of the car back to the pits.
Yeah, that might get left as a souvenir for someone camping around the top or along. Or maybe Shakedown will pick it up on the way into the chase here. That doesn't look like a lap that's been optimal, but he's still out there. Maybe he did it on the first lap and he's going to improve on the second lap. Maybe he's just getting the warm up and feeling out the conditions where it's quite cool. It's overcast. 22 Celsius track temperature should be giving them plenty of grip and some relatively quick lap times. Ben Snell, strong at Phillip Island, I thought, was racing around the top 10 plenty. Races a bunch of different cars on iRacing, so is he going to improve on a 231.6?
First lap didn't count, but I'm guessing that's because the mirror got ripped off. DRX contact with the wall.
That was tidy at the end there, and time, will it count?
No.
Oh, unfortunately not. So what have we got? A grid of 30 cars and 24 of them have a qualifying time at this point. There's a few without one. There are more drivers coming across the line and setting them. Dale Carpenter, one driver, yet to have one, and he might even run out of time in this session, mightn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he'll make it down to the checkered flag. Still 30 seconds on the clock. Oh, he'll be very, very close. If he's doing a 2-minute 3 lap time, he should be okay. And saying that, all the drivers that are on laps currently should be able to finish their laps as well, with us running the 1 race format tonight. Traditional racing style.
See that clock starting to tick down. Dale Carpenter in need of a time because himself, Sam Lehman, Ben Snell, Brody Cook and Andrew Hobby are the drivers without a time. And, oh no, did he miss out? I think he did. No qualifying time for Dale Carpenter, a second short of the line. Well, that's qualifying done. It is time to go racing at the mountain, and the front row for the standing start Jack Boyd is going to be on pole. Caleb Hyde's right behind him. Then Ryan Casher, Brenton Hobson, Jared Hughes, Darren Whittington, our top 6. Then Corey McFarlane, Matthew Hansford-Taylor, Aaron Oliver, Damien Seeger, Luke Angeli, and Moz Moros.
Yep, then we go down to row 7. You got Aaron Russell and Mark Johnson with Lee Harrison, a long way down from where we would expect to see him, starting from position 15. Liam Caplice, Glenn Boyd also a fair way down, starting in 17th position, alongside Ashley Norman down in the field as well. Wayne Lush, Adam Sharp, Hayden Jackson, Techstar McCoy, Bill Audie, and Philip Paradiso, all registered lap times in the top 24.
And then you start looking at those that didn't. Greg Holmes with the time, but no time for Ben Snell, Andrew Hobby, Brody Cook, Dale Carpenter, and Sam Lehman. How is someone missing from row 14? Shouldn't that be where Sam Lehman is? Has he been very, very naughty and sent to the Shadow Realm? I'm confused.
Maybe.
But proper Mount Panorama style, a standing start. You have time to quickly look at the championship, Jake?
I think we do. Got it ready somewhere.
So after 5 races at 2 tracks to open up the year, consistency has been super important in what's always chaotic racing in these MX5s, but with some very large grids as well. Most consistent has been Brenton Hobson. I think from a maximum of 600 points, he's at 592. He has won races. He's stood on the podium, I think almost, every race we've had so far. Jack Boyd's been quick, Aaron Oliver's been quick, Ryan Cash has been quick, Damien Seeger, what a great last lap he had in the 40-minute race at Phillip Island. They've been quick, but they've not been consistent enough. They've not been close enough. And this is all or nothing. One race at Mount Panorama. You can't afford a DNF. Jack Boyd away from the line relatively cleanly. It looks like Caleb Hyde's under a little bit more pressure because there's Casher down the inside at turn number 1 for lap number 1 of 30. And they are going to be side by side racing up the mountain. Look for how intense the slipstream is going to be. And that gravel is getting an absolute workout through turn 1. Liam Caplice into the wall already. He's not alone. That's got to be Paradiso, I think.
Yep. And
you saw how many drivers just jumped over that curb. 10 of them all cutting through the gravel. No worries for Jack Boyd as he still leads. Bit of bump drafting up mountain straights. He's Hyde and Casher hold on to 2nd and 3rd.
Yep, and Hobson in 4th, not far behind. He was quite content to stick his nose in behind the tail of Ryan Casher there. And Jack Boyd running very, very wide up through the cutting and may have clipped the wall.
Well, he's got both of his mirrors. I don't see too much damage on that. But yeah, you can kind of hook a little bit of that banking to the inside of the cutting, but he kind of flung out a little early. Always found himself in trouble. Hyundai XL style stuff. I believe quite a few drivers in our grid have raced XLs here at the mountain before, in that they sort of come out of the cutting. I think it's flat chat for a long way up the hill before you've got to be committed and brave, but also cautious at Skyline. No such worries for Corey McFarlane as he troubles the gravel trap as well. And this is looking backwards from the race leader into the dipper, another super famous corner. Look at that suspension compression. Relatively pillowy for these road car-based machines as they land and they squat, and you see all of that body roll, all of that suspension travel. Your leader is still Jack Boyd, and your top 10 have cleanly made it across the top of the mountain. Now you keep the throttle pinned, you stay in the slipstream, you watch those rev lights come up, and you see what kind of speed does Caleb Hydes have and how aggressive does he want to go. Already past 200 kilometers an hour, they come over the crest down towards the chase. What are the peak speeds going to look like for these MX5s? The answer is we're popping out about 215 here before everyone gets on the brakes. Super cautious up front. In the mid-pack, I don't think that's going to be the case. You remember how many drivers who maybe deserved to be in the top half of the field didn't set a qualifying time as well. From that, your biggest mover is Andrew Hobby, +7 from the back of the grid. Early pit stop there. What's going on here for Aaron Oliver?
Wasn't expecting to see anyone come into the pits this early, so this could be jump start penalty or something else, although a time actually registered for Aaron Oliver. No, actually it didn't register, so I think he's had a black flag for jumping the start. And we've missed something happen there to Hayden Jackson. I did see his car was stopped up at the top of the mountain, but was unable to see exactly what happened. I'll see if we can get a replay up.
Well, Aaron Oliver, my first thought there was maybe a jump start penalty. And everything we have maybe confirms that as a possibility. So, and some others who were in the wall in lap 1 for Hayden Jackson, maybe it was across the top of the hill somewhere. We heard from Brenton Hobson in one of his interviews earlier in the season that this car is actually a little difficult, that first lap on the cold tyres. A little sketchy, a little oversteery. They'll definitely built their tyre temperature now, but you saw a couple of drivers just struggle with it on that opening lap, particularly with all the nerves of the race start, the really compressed, compact nature of the field. The car that's maybe just a little tough to handle. So still looking up front here with Boyd and Hydes and Kasher, and in fact your top 5 are all still in the order they qualified, and they've had some opportunity to try and pass each other and haven't. The fuel saving game was also important in that 40-minute race at Phillip Island, so I wonder if some of these guys are thinking long-term already, going for that one-stop strat that Jay mentioned. Jack Boyd's not going to save much fuel at the lead of the field unless they really, really push him along. But you can imagine the drivers 4th, 5th, 6th in this train can really roll out of the throttle, really coast their speed in, and then the slipstream does wonders for them. Down Mountain Straight once again, the second of the drop bear cars. McFarlane really taily out of Forest Elbow. You always want to track out all the way to that concrete barrier.
And hopefully I'll be able to get a replay up on screen in just a moment as well, because looks like we found what's happened to Hayden Jackson across the top of the mountain on that previous lap. But yeah, I don't think we're going to see too much fighting in amongst this lead group. I think we're going to see a lot of pushing and shoving and just working together as a large group. And you can see that guys are just going to try and stay on the tail as well. The likes of Aaron Russell, Damien Seeger, Luke and Angeli, as Russell has a big mistake there, runs off the circuit, and the cars there of Mosma Roz and Seeger, as well as Lee Harrison. They're going to try and work together to close up to that lead group. That lead group is all just going to work together and try and break away from these guys behind.
Fastest straight line speed I've seen, I think, was just set by Matthew Hansford Taylor, 7th in the line in that top pack, hitting 227 k's an hour in towards the chase. Not bad for these kind of cars. And you get the long shot up Mountain Straight. You see the packs that are starting to form up. The top 8 all together. Then Seeger, Russell, Harrison, and Moroz in this pack for 10th. Yep, it's forming up as some packs at the mountain. Here's the replay side by side for Hayden Jackson. Shallow across Skyline. And it looks like he's got just a little too much speed heading down towards the dipper. Ooh. Someone was stopped there already that he made contact with.
Yep, that was the 46 car, I believe, of Mark Johnson. And you can see wheels and things flying off everywhere. So unfortunate for him that's happened, but they all get a fast repair so they can get back out there, and with the safety car they are still in with a chance of getting themselves up towards the front of the field.
Good thing about Bathurst is it's a little easier to stay on the lead lap than at Oran Park, for example.
Yeah, definitely.
This looks like a place where Jack Boyd's really quick, is across the top of the mountain here. Built a couple car lengths gap to Hydes and Kasher, but that all evaporates down Conroth Straight. Hyde's really, really loose in the tail of that car. Same for McFarlane. It seems to be a drop bear thing. The nose goes where they want, but the tail is just wagging.
Definitely the case. They're not too scared of getting tail happy, and Hydes and McFarlane both working together very, very well in the Tuesday night Simworks series, but haven't had the success in this series that they would have liked, so they'll be looking for a little bit of redemption in that case tonight as well. Know that they've both been disappointed that they haven't had the success carry across from what they've had in the Tuesday night MX5 series. Caleb Hyde's absolutely dominating that one, but he's felt like he's been a little bit of a target in this one, as McFarlane's going to lose a spot in a hands for Taylor and didn't fight it one little bit.
No, not yet. So long as they stay with the top pack, I'm sure they'll be happy. Still early days, but they're going to... No? What? A slowdown potentially? Damage? Yep. What's going on for Corey McFarlane? That mirror is off.
That was weird.
Miss a gear? Get loose on the exit? Not sure.
I'm going to say more a missed gear than anything else. So,
and that should be tough to do now these cars are on a sequential gearbox.
You are right. That is not as easy
or did he
as it
just
was.
Look for pit lane and then decide it was too early and he slowed down a little? I'm not sure at all. Lap 4 now. good shot down Mountain Straight. I love it because you see your top pack together, the next pack trying to catch, led by Luke Angeli. Yeah, just got a little bit too much of a gap between himself and the leaders, even though he can still see them down the long straights here.
It looks like it was a slowdown for McFarlane because he definitely had to get on the brakes in the chute between the chase and Murray's corner. So definitely slow down. Otherwise, it was a thinking of pit entry, deciding against it. But either way, a strange one. The positive thing is that McFarlane is still just within the draft. But that next group with ninth place Ngeli back, they are well and truly out of the draft range, 2.5 seconds back.
A lot of right side mirrors missing here at the mountain already.
Sad
Metal
puppy
brakes.
dogs.
Yeah. Oh. They don't look that sad, but yeah, I think Metal Great's claiming a couple victims. The drivers carry the speed across the top of the hill.
There's a lot of, well, not too sad at the moment, but there'll be a lot of sad looking cars come the end of this race. There'll be lots of broken panel parts and lots of tyres ripped out, and, wing mirrors missing, front clips broken off. There'll be bits strewn all across the Mount Panorama Scenic Drive by the end of this. And you can see bump drafting again is Caleb Hydes on Jack Boyd. It's trying to help him potentially break the draft. Way too early for that to happen, and these guys behind are way too close. I can't see it happening yet.
Bit of a struggle here between Jared Hughes and Brenton Hobson. Hobson's still going to hold on to fourth, but the top pack not as packed together as they were early on, and that hasn't really worked for Hughes because now Hansford Taylor, who's been looking to move forward in this pack, goes side by side with him into the final corner, but nothing happens of it. This is interesting, sort of, 7/10 now between Kasher and Hobson, and half a second between Hydes and Kasher. This could break up if they're not careful.
Definitely could, and it could fragment like we saw this group do. And you can see Aaron Russell getting the move done on Luke Ngeli. Been trying to get that one done for a little while, and now this group, who are now 5 seconds behind that group ahead, they're going to have to try and work really, really hard to close up that gap, because as it is now, they've got no chance of closing that gap down. Their pace is just nowhere near there.
Yeah, not sure it's happening when you got Jack Boyd and Caleb Hydes leading the lead pack, and they're trying to go side by side through Griffins here. And that kind of works for Lee Harrison. He gets around the outside of Aaron Russell and Luke Angeli to go to the front.
Good little move there from Lee Harrison to get himself forward. Big congratulations to Lee and to Greg as well for their hard work behind the scenes getting this series off the ground, and the fact that we're giving away $700 in cash tonight is pretty cool. It's unprecedented for most Australian road racing leagues, especially a free to enter league, to have that much cash up for grabs for just a 3-round series.
Indeed, awesome stuff. When you hesitated there, I thought you were about to tell us that, like, his wife had just given birth or something.
No.
That was where my mind was going. I don't know. That's just kind of what it sounds like. Up the front, though, Boyd, Hydes, Kasher, Hobson, Jared Hughes, still all in the order that they qualified. Here's the bump draft from Hydes. Here comes Ryan Kasher. He's going to join the bump draft as well. It's an MX5 centipede, and Hobson still closes up on them as well.
You took
on the
my
brakes
line.
into the chase.
I was going to say that exact thing. You took my line. You took my joke.
You're welcome.
It's a very, very good train that they've got going, and they're just working together very, very effectively because they're breaking away from that group behind, which has now had another change of positions within. Harrison now has Luke Ngeli behind. Aaron Russell has lost a spot. Glenn Boyd is a fair way back from where you would normally expect him to be, as Aaron Russell runs too deep. Way back in this group here, in position 12 at the moment. And Ashley Norman, another one who you would expect to see in that top group, that is a long way back. So both those guys will be looking to take advantage of some positions now and then gain even more once again when the safety car comes out at some point later on in this race.
Yeah, so a battle for the lead. That's this one. Oh, they were starting to spread out, but they are close as they've ever been once again. Then a battle for ninth. That's this one, where I think that's Glenn Boyd there all the way down the inside, trying to defend that inside into Griffin's Bend, which you can do because you always want to be down the inside with that camber. Otherwise, you just wash out if you're wide of that.
Ben Snell is the first driver that's not in a battle pack. He's just in his own little world. Position 17 before you get to someone who's not in a battle. Very, very unprecedented in racing around Mount Panorama, but not unexpected in MX5 racing around Mount Panorama.
Yeah, so this with Angeli is almost losing touch to Lee Harrison. That's a good look at the radiator.
He and Aaron Russell are probably fighting too aggressively when they need to use the draft to their advantage.
Oh, there's Lee Harrison.
Yep.
He's not that far ahead.
Yep, just disappearing for a few seconds.
Once again, longest straight, highest time at full throttle. Jack Boyd, Caleb Hydes, Ryan Casher at 200 plus kilometers an hour, pushing each other along down towards the chase.
World's fastest game of chicken. And you're bump drafting someone in one of these cars at that sort of speed. As you see Hansford Taylor trying to still get past Brenton Hobson as Aaron Russell and Luke and Jelly get past Lee Harrison, and that secondary group that was starting to fall behind them is now back with them again because they keep checking each other up, keep slowing up each other's momentum. You can see Ashley Norman there now side by side with Lee Harrison, but Harrison will hold that spot.
A little bit of an excursion for Norman. We're also going to see some other drivers come through here. Glenn Boyd, Adam Sharp. Ben Snell's on the pit lane, and so's Brody Cook. So that's interesting from some of these drivers who were sort of by themselves and, you know, out of the packs. They're on pit lane already. That's got to be some kind of, you know, strategy ploy.
Well, I think they're probably trying to work backwards and understanding that we will have a safety car, so try and get your pit stops done before that safety car comes out. So if you can get your second stop done as early as you can, get your first stop done as early as you can. If the safety car does come out, you can come in and splash and gain yourself some spots.
So Jared Hughes, who was fifth, back into sixth in this train. Hansford Taylor's gone forward, and Brenton Hobson's back into fifth. So the top five for a long time ran in the order that they qualified. There has been just a little bit of a change behind the top three here. Hansford Taylor has jumped Hughes and Hobson.
Hansford Taylor's been the only one in the group to really move around positions other than at the very, very start of the race. Everyone else has been very, very content with where they are. Of course, McFarlane dropped a couple of spots as well. He's now got back through past Darren Whittington, but other than that, everyone has just stayed where they are, except for Hansford Taylor, who's racy and ready to get moves done. He's not scared and not worried about drafting and fuel conservation. He's just out there to race and race hard and try and get to the front as quick as he can.
As I scan my timing screen, I'm still pretty sure that Hansford Taylor has the speed trap record at 227 kilometers an hour. He's bearing down on the top three. Once again, he's looking for third down the inside of the chase, but he's on the brakes a little early. He's trying to back out of it. Casher now, is he trying to defend? Is he trying to go for second? There's a lot of too wide all of a sudden. Is this in-lap tactics? What is going on? Chaos in the front pack already. Coming towards pit entry. Who's going for it? Who's staying out? Almost all of them staying out. All of them staying out. But peace is no longer an option.
Whittington's going to get past McFarlane. Hobson's lost a spot to Jared Hughes. And Jared Hughes now trying to get a run to maybe get past Hansford Taylor. Hobson's going to lose a spot to Whittington here as well. No, Whittington's going to tuck back in behind.
pile up behind because Glenn Boyd got loose. A couple of cars speared into him. 4 cars making contact from the 9th place pack. And for Glenn Boyd, that's frustrating because he's just on the wrong side of pit entry as well.
Oh, and look at the damage to that car too. So he's got to do a full lap with that damage. That is not fun, not easy to do. And we may see him escape back to the pits. And hopefully it doesn't put him a lap down, but there is a chance he'll end up a lap down from this.
Have a looky, he was way out of control. It snaps back the other way. The 767 is Mosmoro's, and then also you've got Seeger and some others there. It's 2 or 3 cars come together. Chicken Up Machine of Ashley Norman there, I think, also copping a little bit of a hit. So that's a real shame. I don't know how long this tow is going to be for Papa Boyd. Up front, though, still your top 8 together. Still Boyd and Hides and Kasha working together as a bit of a triplet. It got a little crazy into Griffin's Bend for Brenton Hobson, though, and you can see there's a bit of a gap now between 4th and 5th. Hughes and McFarlane and Whittington were all trying to take for that spot. Here's Hughes. Oh, hardly even a bump there, just rolled out of it.
Yeah, smallest little tap, bump, and then rolled out of it, as you said. But they're still getting draft to the pack ahead, so that's important. And especially
as
fight,
Hansford Taylor went for the move on Kasha, didn't stick it, and here comes Hobson potentially back through again, but he's going to have to look for the outside of the final corner.
You know, it's interesting as well, while these guys are fighting, and you said they've fractured a little bit, that group behind, last lap by, was actually faster. So they've got the gap down, was at around about 7.5 seconds between Whittington and Aaron Russell. You can see visually, they're now still together on the front straight. So it has closed in the last 2 laps, that gap between first group and second group.
Hobson gets his 4th back. And you always couldn't see Hansford Taylor in there. He was right behind Jared Hughes, almost invisible as they come up Mountain Straight towards Griffin's Bend. No one really pushing anyone. Your top 3 might get away here. I think Hobson's clear on the right line to carry his speed through. Too much curb on the inside for Hansford Taylor. Hughes can't really hold it around the outside. That's always difficult to do. There's more cars on pit lane. Ashley Norman and Greg Holmes. Wouldn't be surprised if those guys did another lap and decided they were actually carrying a little too much damage and they wanted to pit early. Hung out to dry in the cutting for Hansford Taylor. Sees Hughes and McFarlane get back in front of him. So in looking for 3rd, he got a little out of position, and corner by corner by corner, he's ended up back in 7th again. That's how it works in these kind of packs.
Definitely does. You get yourself out of position once, you find yourself in the wrong spot at the wrong time. It's almost oval spec. You get yourself going for a move, forces you to go wide. All of a sudden you find yourself losing 3 or 4 spots because you're not on the inside normal line. So definitely the same sort of mindset goes in to these races here at Bathurst in lower horsepower cars. You want to make sure that you're in the pack in the correct line. Find yourself offline, you're going to lose spots very, very quickly.
Got off Forest elbow is very important. Almost everyone's still got their right-hand side mirror. From that camera angle, it's actually a surprise that everyone but McFarlane has that passenger side mirror. So no 1 second gaps in the top 8 quite yet. Hobson is trying to stay in touch with the top 3 who have been oh so patiently working together with each other. It's been Boyd and Hides and Kasha, the top 3, almost this entire race now.
In this top 8, there's only 1 out of the 16 mirrors missing, and that is that of McFarlane, which is a huge surprise. Normally see the passenger side mirrors get ripped off around Bathurst quite easily, purely because you're further from the steering wheel, so you lose that vision. But in comes Hansford Taylor.
Pit entry. That's interesting. No one else does it, and he is in just maybe sick of that pack racing style. See what that'll mean. You know what? He's not alone because Aaron Russell, Lee Harrison, Adam Sharp, Luke Angeli, a lot of other drivers. In fact, I think everyone but the
That
top
whole
7
pack came together.
looks like they're going to come in. Yeah, that pack together. Seeger stays out. And Textar McCoy, we're looking at here, stays out.
Yep, so a couple of guys stay out in that group. Wayne Losh there as well. Paradiso yet to come in. Remember, we saw him facing the wrong direction. He's going to come in now. And Ben Snell, the lead car of those that have pitted. He will come on by and probably gain himself quite a few spots. Hansford Taylor's stop around about 7 seconds longer than Ben Snell, but that will be purely due to Ben Snell not being able to put as much fuel in as these guys could because he pitted so much earlier.
Yeah, indeed. And there's the gap. Hansford Taylor ahead of Snell. Snell ahead of Aaron Russell and Lee Harrison and Adam Sharp.
All of the guys in this group, all very, very identical pit stop times, pit lane transit times. So all very, very much the same.
And look at this. Lee Harrison pushing Aaron Russell to catch Ben Snell.
Yep. Wanting to make sure that they can use his draft, and then the more that they've got in the group together, the better off they will be in the long run. Who's going to pit out of this group though this lap? Probably most.
Jack Boyd has led the way the entire way, so I think he's definitely going to have to pit before some of those behind. Think of Ryan Casher, who's just sat third pedal here for quite a while. It looks like when you point a video camera at a TV that is showing the output of the video camera and it just goes on forever in the background. That's what these MX-5s look like. Or when you hop into a lift that's got mirrors on, you know, parallel walls or something. That's what it looks like with these MX-5s. None of these top 7 going for pit lane. So Matthew Hansford Taylor's strategy is going to be at least 2 laps separated from what everyone else in that pack is doing. Is that a bit slow for Ben Snell? A lot of air at the dipper. Whoa! Oh, does he? Nope, that's a boot on the wall for Ben Snell, and he gets it going again. But you know what mirror he lost?
Yep. Well, he's still got it. It's just hanging on. Hasn't
Okay, well,
fallen
it's
off.
not usable anymore.
No, it's not now. It's sad.
He could get out the car, pick it up, and check his hair in it, but he's not going to see if someone's closing up behind him on the racetrack.
He'd probably check his beard, not his hair.
You know, different strokes for different folks. Top 7 yet to pit, and then the only other cars yet to pit behind them is Seeger, Textar McCoy, and Wayne Losh. Another replay. Out wide, too much grass. Out wide. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Shiny new Repco banners there that he nearly took a side swipe at.
This is the spinners packed together.
Sure is. Got Adam Sharp, got Ben Snell, got Brody Cook right in behind them as well, side by side. Always a challenge up towards the cutting, but Ben Snell has absolutely got it. And I think even all things considered, Snell with a little less damage on the front than Sharp. Think. It's hard to tell.
Brody Cook's part of the Spinners Club, even though we didn't see him spin in the race. He definitely had damage in qualifying, so that can put him in the group that way.
What are the leaders going to be up to as they come towards pit entry at the end of the lap? You've seen a little bit of battling here between Hughes in black, Darren Whittington in green and black, and Corey McFarlane in the drop bear machine. Oh, he's going to try to go over under through the final corner. If this was the last lap, you'd call it potentially a photo finish, but they are side by side here over 6th and 7th. And really close, really leaning on each other. A car width and nothing more given by McFarlane there. And Whittington, a little bit of a side swipe, keeps his mirrors and will stay in the slipstream as well.
Bump drafting still going on between Aaron Russell and Lee Harrison. They're working together quite well. Lap time wise before the pit stops, these two were the fastest in that group that they were in, but we'll get a bit of a gauge on their first flying lap since their pit stop. In the pits now as well, Damien Seeger and Wayne Losh. So top 8 cars yet to pit.
Sure is the case. Let's look at what the lap time looks like for Hansford Taylor. 2:32.7 for Hansford Taylor last lap to a 2:32.6 for Jack Boyd. So Hansford Taylor's not losing out too bad out of that pack.
2:32.1 for Aaron Russell, fastest car on track.
Interesting, isn't
actually,
it?
Luke Angeli, fastest car, 2:31.2 last lap. So third car in this
three are
group.
going quick.
Yeah, they are. And I think they found that when Angeli was at the front of the group, they were starting to get held up a little bit. But while he's been at the back and working with them from there, these three have been working together very, very well and gaining time on that lead group.
And also critically gaining time on Hansford Taylor as well. So he's only a couple seconds up the road from them, all by himself, and potentially coming under threat. The leaders again. Oh no, Ryan Cash is missing a mirror.
Join the club.
Oh, same too for Caleb Hydes.
Yep.
Oh dear, these mirrors, they're just not safe around here. Huge dive from Jared Hughes. Looking for one position, looking for two. Also side by side with your leader, Jack Boyd. Now he's just going to park it in front of Hydes and Kasher. And is he then going to look towards pit entry? Yep. He is. So Jared Hughes just causing a little bit of consternation amongst the leaders, and he's going to get followed in by Whittington and McFarlane. So it is race leader Jack Boyd to carry on with Hydes, with Kasher, with Hobson. There's others in the lane. Oh, Whittington's had a problem on pit entry. There's a chicane there, and he's had a problem on pit entry.
Yep, he's found the chicane the wrong way.
Is there a new tyre bundle in that pit entry? Can I get the onboard? No, I think that's still the same, isn't it? But it's narrow. He's caught a little much of the curb, a little bit of the grass, and find reverse gear at. Ooh.
Just at the moment. I've seen a couple of videos of that. The AI crashing at pit entry at Bathurst. Very, very entertaining.
So that's a challenge for Whittington, because he would have liked to have been in the group with those others that he was pitting with.
You know what would hurt the leaders right now? The safety car came out.
Oh, it might. Jared Hughes and McFarlane, by the way, have come out of pit lane in the same pack as Aaron Russell and Lee Harrison. So that slightly earlier stop from them has really brought them into the group here that could still catch Matthew Hansford Taylor.
Remember, they still have another pit stop to make, so of course they're going to take more fuel on at the next stop in comparison. So that is the only downfall to this earlier stop. But track position gained is very, very important. Matthew Hansford Taylor, the lead cars of everyone that has pitted though. He's only about 2.8 seconds up the road. I feel that this group could work together quite well to catch him.
Well, Russell and Harrison are definitely working well together. If they're going to work well with Hughes and McFarlane, I'm not so sure, but they're so close at the highest point of the track towards Skyline.
Just want to give an update too. We saw Glenn Boyd have issues. We've seen Liam Caplice have issues. We've seen Mark Johnson have issues. Aaron Oliver also has had issues. All of them are still on the lead lap, so they didn't go a lap down despite those toes.
Here's your leaders coming into pit lane. your
Geez, safety
top
car
four.
right now may hurt them, wouldn't it?
Boyd, Hides, Casper, and Hobson. Shut up, Jay.
I could do it too. That's the best bit. No, I'm not doing it yet. For those that have just joined us, there will be a random safety car, and we have the power tonight. So we can make this as spicy as we need to.
Jay has the power. I don't want to know anything about it.
I've already decided when it's going to be as well.
Okay,
so.
good. Write it down on a.
I've took a
notepad.
screenshot of the random
took a
safety car number. Yeah.
Righto. Well, so there's your leaders onto pit lane. Hansford Taylor is the next car that's made a pit stop. Then this pack of Hughes and McFarlane, who were with the leaders, remember. So will that top four slot out between Hansford Taylor and this group, or with Hansford Taylor, or in front or behind? We'll find out in a second. Still on the pit box for all of those top four.
Jared Hughes, Corey McFarlane, their pit stops are around 29 seconds, so you'd think these guys are going to be in the 30-32 second bracket. And look at that, they're going to be in behind this group.
But
So
with a lot
Matthew-
more fuel on board.
Yep, so the positive is that they've got less to take at the next pit stop. The downfall is that the cars are going to be heavier. The other positive is that they are, or actually they might not be in draft range, 2 seconds behind. I think they're out of the draft.
Oh, it's interesting. Everyone's made a pit stop now in this endurance race for Australian Production Car E-Series at Mount Panorama. Hansford Taylor is out in the lead with 4 laps less fuel on board than this group here. And look, they've kind of come out of the pit lane in reverse order that they went in. Because presumably the guys deeper in the pack were saving more fuel super side by side between Hides and Kasher. Kasher is going to find there is no room around the outside of the cutting. And then it's Hobson. And then it's Jack Boyd. So Boyd, by leading, burnt more fuel, had to take more at that pit stop. He had a longer stop by about 2 seconds compared to Brenton Hobson.
Lugan Jelly's still the fastest car out on track at the moment too, so even though they're now behind a couple of other cars, he's still the fastest car out on track. Aaron Russell and Lee Harrison also right up there in regards to lap pace, and this will be the first proper check in regards to pace for Jared Hughes and Corey McFarlane now that they've made their stops. This is their first flying lap. We'll see what times they can do now.
Let's recap that top 10. Matthew Hansford Taylor, 2 seconds clear of this group. Jared Hughes, Corey McFarlane, Aaron Russell, Lee Harrison, Luke Angeli. Then 3 seconds to Caleb Hides, Ryan Kasher, Brenton Hobson, Jack Boyd, the top 10.
No
Hansford
surprise.
Taylor by himself, 2 cars for second, 3 cars for fourth, 4 cars for seventh. It's a Fibonacci sequence? No.
I was about to say no surprise that Jack Boyd had to take the most fuel out of every car, considering he led the entirety of that first phase of the race. And a little mistake across Skyline and through the dipper for Aaron Russell been enough to potentially break that pack between McFarlane and Aaron Russell. So little mistake may have cost this secondary group as Lee Harrison. Oh no, that's the wall.
Harrison's in the Armco, almost rolling backwards at the start-finish line. Well, the finish line, start line is further up. He's going to get it rolling. Front right is pushed in. Is the steering straight? Regardless, he's lost touch with the pack that he wanted to be a part of as well, and that slipstream has been so huge to the character of the racing here for these cars at Mount Panorama. Tell you who he does have right behind him is Darren Whittington, though.
Whittington, who was in that lead group earlier, now able to potentially work with him.
McFarlane's been pushing Jared Hughes up the hill, and instead of 2 seconds, they're now 1.3 seconds behind Matthew Hansford Taylor. We're in the number 97, a number that's, still the reigning 1000 champ?
Yes, I had to think about that for a second, but yes, definitely is the reigning. Although technically you could say the reigning 1000 champion is now the one. After yesterday.
Okay. Yep. Here's a place where a couple of drivers have lost a mirror or two. So your leader, second, third, then fourth and fifth catching them. It is all closing up at the front, which you love to see approaching the halfway point of the race.
It was good when the pack's closing at halfway. That was at the rear left-hand wheel lifting off the ground through the dipper. Very, very fun car to drive around this place as well is the MX5. Underrated car in general within iRacing. Interesting that Caleb Hyde's pit crew, Corey McFarlane's pit crew, was able to replace that wing mirror during the pit stop.
Oh, damn, they're good.
Well, I would have thought that was a pretty low priority, but anyway.
So the lead for Hansford Taylor gone because Hughes and McFarlane are bearing down on him at crazy speed. And Hughes, almost went and Romain Grosjean'd it, not waiting at all. And just the minute he arrives on the scene, going for any possible gap. Then he decided against it, but he got in the mirror singular of Hansford Taylor, and there's your top three. Russell's going to catch him. Angeli's going to catch him. And what are the lap times going to look like for that next pack with Hydes and Kasher, etc.? Are they going to be able to catch the leaders here as well? Just a reminder that Hansford Taylor's got one more lap of fuel on board than Hughes and McFarlane, who've got 2 more laps than Hydes and Kasher, etc. And this is Harrison who needs to get that fixed.
Yeah. And is 2, maybe 3 laps short of making it home on fuel. So even with the safety car, he's probably going to be too short. So that means that he'll have to splash and dash or come in when the safety car comes out, whenever that may be.
Or get out and push.
Probably not an option that you're going to do in a sim.
Turn the engine off at Skyline and Billy cart it down.
That is an option you can do.
I believe it's called the Glenn Postlethwaite strategy.
It's been a very, very interesting race with the way that the drafting duos have worked together so well throughout this race. Interesting that Luke Angeli hasn't been able to hold on to the back of Aaron Russell, who I believe last lap set the second fastest lap of the race. Darren Whittington with the fastest, but Aaron Russell with the second fastest lap. That lap just then.
I can see faster for Hansford Taylor and Hughes and McFarlane, but it was a good
and
one.
Hobson. Yep. I'll shut up.
No, it was a good lap.
I missed a zero.
It was a really good lap. We were talking about everyone doing mid 2-minute 32s for a while there. And yeah, Russell's gone and put in a 2:31 flat. So for the middle of the endurance race, that's very competitive. Here's the safety car. And so Hansford Taylor's still going to race around towards that safety car, but it's going to compress all of the field. It's an iRacing safety car, so pit entry will be closed.
And everyone straight into the highest gear, clutching it down Conrod Straight to save as much fuel as they can.
On board here with Jared Hughes, that's his strategy. I think McFarlane behind doing not entirely different. When does he put the clutch back in? Not yet. Oh, there. And for fourth of good measure. All right. Oh, that was McFarlane as well. Hughes going to ask McFarlane to push him along till they catch the safety car? On board with Aaron Russell, no such concerns there.
He's not worrying about the fuel. He's just going to put it in the pits when he can and go on. So yeah, pit entry closed, so they're all going to have to pack up behind the safety car. Next lap by, they can come into the pits, and then we'll go green on the following lap.
What safety car do we have? But I know it's the Porsche 911 GT3 991.2. I'm starting a campaign for a 992 safety car, by the way.
Oh, I'm disappointed we didn't end up with the sedan.
Yeah, I like the sedan.
I do too.
I think there's some good cars that could be made into a safety car as well.
Kia safety car when?
Sorry?
Kia safety car when?
Oh, yeah. Let's recap the top 10. Hansford Taylor from Jared Hughes, from McFarlane, from Aaron Russell, from Luke Angeli, Caleb Hydes, Ryan Kasher, Brenton Hobson, Jack Boyd, and in 10th, Ben Snell.
Good recovery from Snell considering where he was straight after his pit stop. He'll be hanging out for the pit window to open so that he can bring it home. Because
13 laps to go when that pit window opens as well, so I think you'll see a lot of drivers on pit lane at the end of this lap, hoping that they can make it home from there, and I think almost everyone ought to be able to do that as well. So I think it's kind of does railroad everyone back into the one strategy. But what will be interesting is there'll all be a snake coming into pit lane. And we know the drivers who pitted most recently, like Hides and Casher and Hobson and Jack Boyd, are going to have quicker pit stops, maybe the tune of 4, 5, 6 seconds faster than Hansford Taylor and Jared Hughes and those out front. So I think the only racing that'll happen behind the safety car is with the pit crews. And there's some drivers, what's that, 8th and 9th, etc., that might be able to jump to the front if everyone pits behind safety car. And for the reasons we pointed out, that they should be able to stop and get to the end from here, you imagine 90% of the field will.
Exactly right. Everyone should make at least 12 laps of fuel. So if you can stretch that at 1 extra lap using the draft to 13, everyone will be able to make it. Of course, they'll save a bit of fuel on that first lap out of the pits under safety car, which will leave in 12 racing laps. It does bring everyone under the one strategy, but the other part of it is everyone's together. Those guys that have had issues earlier on are now within a shot of somehow coming through and stealing a win.
So give us some of those delicious onboards. Who's still clutching it behind the safety car?
Everyone.
What's that huge gap? Doesn't look like clutch in from... That's definitely clutch in. I mean, you can just tell. Are the revs at 2,000, 3,000 or at idle? And they are at idle. The driver on board with here, it was Aaron Russell, wasn't it?
Yep. McFarlane definitely clutching.
A lot easier to do, especially once they get over the hill here on Conrod Straight.
Here's someone who's not. Aaron Oliver still catching up to the back of the pack. Finally got there. Finally gets to the back of the pack. He'll be able to clutch for maybe a minute. And he'll be into the pits to make his final stop.
It's going to be a busy pit entry, but they're not going to be approaching it quite as fast as Darren Whittington did under racing conditions.
Interesting that the pack is sort of split up a little bit. Jared Hughes left a huge gap going up the hill and probably had to get on the throttle a little bit more than he would have liked to close that gap back down.
So a safety car at Mount Panorama, never a surprise. And here is everyone, and I mean just about everyone, going for pit lane, led by Matthew Hansford Taylor, but he pitted really early in the goings and is going to have a longer stop than some of those behind him. McFarlane's been caught a little bit napping because Hansford Taylor and Jared Hughes have raced to the cone where they then all do the same speed. Look at that line from Jack Boyd, trying to overtake some guys on the way to the pit entry speed limit. Sebastian Vettel in China style. That is a very, very busy looking pit lane. They're all going to try to find their crews. No shared pit stalls here will be of good news for everyone who is on the pit lane, with the exception of Texstar McCoy.
No surprise to see Texstar McCoy do something a little bit different to everyone else, because he's done that in the past, tried alternate strategies and tried things differently to everyone else.
Hughes, quickest stop, is going to go through into the lead, second place on the field. Who else has had a good stop?
Hayden Pines.
Hayden
Jackson
has the
stop.
lead. Texstar McCoy wasn't close enough. He's actually got... They're shuffling around a little bit. There's too wide on the pit exit. Whittington. Oh, no, Whittington. Oh, and Caplice.
Yep.
I think. Whittington and Caplice trying to go too wide on the pit exit have made contact with the wall. And I tell you what, I think Caplice is going to have an unsafe pit exit from that as well, because Whittington moved him across those yellow cones.
It was Dale Carpenter, actually.
Oh, was it teammates? I picked up the wrong one there. Was Carpenter. The thing is, both of them are racing up through the pack and getting to the spot where they were on the pit exit. Here's how it happened. On board from Carpenter. He's going to try to squeeze out. There's the first contact. There's the second contact. Carpenter's kind of within his rights to try to not get an unsafe pit exit there, but one of them had to yield. Neither of them was going to.
The pits as well. It was going to put them in the order that they crossed the line anyway, so they probably didn't need to fight that hard once they got actually out of the pit lane. So, as you can see now on board with Dale Carpenter, he's getting his spots back that he lost while he was straightening his car up. So, didn't really mean too much once you'd crossed that control line.
Yep.
You can tell
So-
the guys that are going to make it on fuel versus the guys that aren't. The guys that can't, they're not worrying. They're just catching up to the pace car. Everyone else is doing it as slowly as they can.
So we've got Textar McCoy and Hayden Jackson up front, first and second, who aren't going to make it to the end. They're going to need a green flag, splash, and dash. Meanwhile, everyone behind them ought to be able, with just a little bit of saving, to make it to the end.
Been asked as well whether we may have seen with those guys bunching up like they did at pit entry, whether anyone will get done for passing under yellow. Interesting.
So
to
the
see.
guys who were quick on pit entry, Hughes and Hydes, if they reached the timing line before the safety car did,
they'll be in big trouble.
they'll get done for passing the safety car on pit entry there, potentially. That's one to watch as they come past the pit lane again.
Yep.
Lights are off the safety car, though, so it's going to be racing no matter what, and Textar McCoy is going to lead them.
The other thing too will be whether anyone actually overtook any of the others, as they all ended up 3 wide at pit entry. If anyone got ahead of the car ahead of them, they'll be in trouble for that as well. So we'll have a look at that in the next little bit. We'll know rather quickly, because next lap by, people will be coming in to make green flag stops unscheduled.
There goes the safety car. Textar McCoy still holding him to the final corner. And now the green flag's out. Now we're racing, but he's really checked them up. Really stacked up packs. Them 2 wide in the background already. Ryan Casher on the defensive from Jack Boyd as they're side by side down towards turn 1. Casher's going to jump through, take a spot away. He's right up behind Hughes in 4th.
Just seen too, Darren Whittington's having some tech issues and he's now out of the race, unfortunately. Lee Harrison, after having to make that unscheduled stop, did come back in during the safety car and now is rejoined. Currently the last runner in the field of our 29 starters, 28th in the field.
Side by side between some championship protagonists here. Jack Boyd's around the outside of Caleb Hydes. Brenton Hobson, points leader, watches on behind. He just wants to be safe in this one.
For sure, he doesn't.
I say that, he's looking down the inside of the cutting.
Oh.
He's still looking down the inside of the cutting. Hydes is going to be held out a little wide. Washes a little bit on that heavy fuel load for Brenton Hobson. Tyre's still coming up to temperature, our first racing lap.
Hansford Taylor, a little bit too wide action between he and Dale Carpenter up through the cutting. They've settled themselves into line. Oh, that's heavy wall contact though.
And so Taylor was into the wall, wasn't it? And he's got Carpenter and Angeli right behind him as they come towards a part of the track where you really need your wheels facing straight across the skyline, through the S's, towards the Dipper, and down towards Forest Elbow. Still, Textar McCoy and Hayden Jackson yet to have been passed for the lead of the race. I wonder if there's a few behind them thinking, just 1 lap or 2 behind you guys going flat chat and I can save some fuel. We'll see what happens down Conrod Straight. It is Hughes and Casher and Jack Boyd in very close contention behind those 2 cars that haven't made their stops yet.
Everyone made it around across the top of the mountain. There was a little issue for Greg Holmes, who's dropped to the back of the field, unfortunate for him. But everyone else made it all the way through as side by side defending is Ryan Casher. Jack Boyd can't quite get through yet.
Hobson and Hydes trade a little bit of paint through the chase as well, because Hobson was looking for that spot. It hasn't worked, and now he's got McFarlane and Aaron Russell behind him. Drivers pulling out, and almost a defense there from Hayden Jackson in second place, super close between Casher and Jack Boyd. They come across the line to make it 11 laps to go, but it's definitely getting racy. These guys have probably seen their fuel numbers come up and thinking, I'm good to the end now, maybe. Jack Boyd down the inside, gets clear, is going to need to pick up that slipstream off of Jared Hughes. Is he going to get pushed up the mountain? Super close from Jack Boyd on back here. Look at them.
Awesome to watch, isn't it, with these guys so close nose to tail. And you can see also in the background Adam Sharp Luke and Jelly side by side, up over the rise. 2x2. 5-car pack here with Sharp and Jelly. We've got Carpenter, Seeger, and who else is in there? Ben Snell at the back as well. Cool little pack going on, and some side-by-side up ahead. There's Ryan Casher, Caleb Hydes, Brenton Hobson. These three, you want to be careful to make sure that they don't do this stuff in the wrong spot on the track, because they can quite easily lose the draft.
Quite easily cause a car park as well.
That too.
So that long stop behind the safety car from the early pitting Ben Snell is what dropped him from 10th down to 15th. Here though, still Techstar McCoy and Hayden Jackson leading the way. Jack Boyd has closed right up to Jared Hughes, and they're super close, flying across Brock's skyline. Always love this angle of the dipper. That was Hobson, a little wide of the apex, wider than he would have wanted. He's sandwiched between drop bears at the moment.
Hobson was just making sure he didn't lose a mirror, I think. It was the strat for him. He wants to make sure he can check that beard at the end of the race. Saying that there's no one that's missing a mirror in this lead group at this stage, except for Matthew Hansford-Taylor. No surprise.
He's lucky a mirror's all he's missing at that point, honestly.
Very true. Also see Corey McFarlane just lost his mirror as well. He's at the front. Techstar McCoy, Hayden Jackson, the two guys that can't make it on fuel, we don't believe. Side by side into the chase, holding up that group behind. And Hayden Jackson, well and truly off the circuit. Jack Boyd says thank you and takes the spot.
Slots the gap, goes through the lead, puts a couple of cars between him and the key contenders here. Look at them, 2 wide, nearly 3 wide. Is that going to be a problem into the final corner? Somehow it's just not. Jack Boyd's got Techstar McCoy between himself and Jared Hughes and Ryan Casher. And now it's Hayden Jackson with Hydes looking down the inside from a long way back. Brenton Hobson wants part of that as well. Isn't going to get given a whole lot of space, which compromises his momentum, but it boxes Corey McFarlane in. He's got nowhere to go. He doesn't really want to bump Hayden Jackson along, but he might have to. Aaron Oliver's been on his... Lee Harrison's on his lead. Aaron Oliver's with damage and Wayne Losh there as well. Oh, and it's gone off Hayden Jackson into Brenton Hobson. Brenton Hobson and Aaron Russell are into the wall at Griffin's Bend as well. It's all kicked off on this particular lap. Let's stick with these replays. So, in the 70, orange and grey is, super late look. And then a bit wide from Oliver. Oliver onto the grass, spins wide, hits the wall. So Lee Harrison and Wayne Losh is an entirely separate incident. Losh was on the grass, yeah. So it's 2x2 coming towards Griffin's Bend. Hobson looking for a third lane. That doesn't happen. Hayden Jackson, a huge incident. So Hobson and Russell keep it out of the wall, but there's damage. I think he was getting bumped by McFarlane. No? Hobson's looking for that lane around the outside, and there's a millimetre of overlap that sends Jackson across into that outside wall. There wasn't space to go 3 wide there. Is there space to go 3 wide? Live pictures down into the chase. Jack Boyd's running away with the lead of the race. These are the guys battling over second. Hughes is on the inside. Hydes, great speed around the outside, is going to take second place. Casher wants some of that as well, but he gets boxed out. So it is Jack Boyd with a 1.5 second lead. Brendan Hobson might have a slowdown penalty from how hard he just cut the chase. And it's almost going to be 3 wide again. Casher's around the outside of the drop bear of McFarlane. Hansford-Taylor out of control, catches the slide.
Oh, wow. How did he hold on to that? There is no way he should be still facing the right direction from that, but he still is, and he's still ahead of Aaron Russell, who still somehow has held on to the race. Brenton Hobson, I'm concerned about. You did say he may have had a slowdown as well. I'm concerned he's got a meatball because his lap time did not register then. Fingers crossed it's just because he hadn't cleared the slowdown though.
Well, he cut a lot of the
Oh.
chase. Oh, there are more argy-bargy. The 111, 2 wheels up in the air for Dale Carpenter. He's already missing that mirror. Ben Snell forcing his way down the inside at Griffin's Bend here, and there's no grip out wide. Just keeping it out of the fence is Dale Carpenter. Don't have to worry about Luke Angeli behind, but they were squeezing each other for all the room they could get towards Griffin's. Neither of them yielded, and in the end, bit of wheel-to-wheel rub there for Dale Carpenter. This is up front. The lead for Jack Boyd is 1.4 seconds from Hydes, from Hughes, from Techstar McCoy, who's still in the pack. Then there's Ryan Casher, and we ride on board with Hansford Taylor in 7th. Techstar McCoy is going to be a bit of the joker in the pack here because we know he still needs another pit stop, but he is right in the draft train for 2nd, which trying to catch Jack Boyd, I think.
Next time McCoy's probably got another 5 laps before he needs to pit, so he can still be a joker in the pack for a little while longer too. So he's definitely going to make himself a factor in this one. As
Casher, can you pass there? Can you pass there, Ryan Casher? Round the outside, he's trying to muscle his way. That is just not going to work at Forest's elbow. He got a great run off the dipper, did Casher. Tried to go side by side with Techstar McCoy down towards Forest's elbow, but couldn't get towards the inside, and you worry that that might be the kind of thing that causes them to lose touch with the pack in front. Casher back in the draft, looking one way, looking the other, now looking the other, and all the while McFarlane is bearing down on them, and Hydes and Hughes are bearing down on Jack Boyd. His 1.5 second lead evaporating, but here's side by side. Casher knows the strategy game that's afoot. He's trying to get past. He gets a little bit of a tap there from McFarlane. That's going to send him wide. McFarlane parks it in front of Techstar McCoy. Here's Jared Hughes, Aaron Russell, huge speed. Hansford Taylor, I think, pushes Techstar McCoy along there. Aaron Russell's looking down the inside at the final corner here. He's super late on the brakes and almost hits the rear bumper of Star McCoy.
Amazing to think that they're racing like this and there's still 8 laps to go in this one. There's still heaps of racing left to go. It's an incredible battle that we've seen the whole way through, up and down the field, as this contact, wheel-to-wheel contact between Adam Sharp and Matthew Hansford Taylor, and Hansford Taylor around.
He's got to wait for the whole pack here, really. And they are still all packed up. How close do you want it? How close do you want it before he can get going? Still waiting there. Almost beached it on the curb. And the new sequential gearbox for these cars has a very tall first gear. Makes it difficult to get going from a standstill like that. So what's the state of the race? Still 8 laps. 54 kilometers to get home, guys. And
a lot of racing.
Boyd from Hydes and Hughes, the top 3. All that argy-bargy down at the bottom of the mountain means that Ryan Casher leads a pack at 4th place, but they're not as close to the top 3 as they'd like to be. But Casher and McFarlane together, I think, might be able to catch them. Now they've cleared Techstar McCoy. Aaron Russell's not in a bad spot either. Then look, Adam Sharp, Brenton Hobson, Ben Snell. Hobson and Snell back in 9th and 10th.
Yeah, and they just changed position too as they approached the final corner on the previous lap. And just seen Hayden Jackson succumb to those issues that he had earlier. And unfortunately, he's out of the race. That's very, very disappointing for him because while the strategy may not have worked, the fact that he was up the front and able to battle for a little while with them, he was matching them quite well for paces. Looking rather sad now is Brenton Hobson's car. He's lost both mirrors.
Put that on an inspirational poster, don't look back.
Don't look back and then have the mirrors that are just drooping off the side of the car.
Oh, we can probably make that. We can probably make that happen after the race, can't we? Still 7 laps to go of the mountain, doing 2.5-minute laps. We're still talking about almost 20 minutes of racing still to go. Yeah. And it has really gotten ferocious now that everyone's made their final pit stops. Long way off the chase, Techstar McCoy. So he's going to drop back a bunch of spots. That's going to let Aaron Russell through as well. That's got to be a slowdown. Right. Yeah. Dale Carpenter, questionable rejoin there as well. He's losing out. The chase proving to be a excitement magnet. Final corner almost was there as well. Super close between Luke Angeli and Dale Carpenter. Jack Boyd, Caleb Hydes, Jared Hughes, your top 3. But on the last lap, Corey McFarlane was a second faster than Jack Boyd. Is he going to do it this lap? That was out of control, and a little bit. It all depends. Is Kasha going to fight, or is Kasha going to push?
They've got to work together, don't they? If they don't work together, they're not going to be able to be in a position to win the race come the last 2 laps. If they keep fighting like they are now, or have been, they'll keep losing ground to Hides and Hughes, while he was faster than Jack Boyd, that being Corey McFarlane. He wasn't that much faster than Jared Hughes, who closed up a fair bit of ground on Jack Boyd that previous lap as well.
So interesting to watch, and it is still many laps to go. There's also some great battles behind as well. I'm watching Hobby push Norman pushing Dale Carpenter out of the exit of the cuttings. Look at them, how close they are in this next pack as well.
What a huge pack this is too. Was that 6-7 cars deep? This one, so this is for 13th on back.
30 cars started, 26 running. This is all the way back to 19th in that great pack there, as Dale Carpenter has used the grass every which way. They're too wide coming down the hill. That's surely going to be a cut track for Dale Carpenter, as he had to use a little bit too much of the escape road in the S's, going side by side with Police, it might have been. See if Dale Carpenter has to jump out of that one, or if he's really dodged a lucky bullet on that one. Oh, he hasn't now. Police into the wall.
Yeah. Wondering if there was some little bit of damage from the slight little clip of the wall he had too. So he lost out big time in that one, unfortunately. Side by side here, Ben Snell, Adam Sharp, and Brenton Hobson.
Oh, another huge incident. Luke Angeli, others. Ah, dear. Still a long way to go in this one, and we've seen that pack we were talking about just entirely disintegrate before they even got to the corner. Here is Carpenter. Oh, he gets blocked by Angeli one way. Number 3's bearing down on him, so... Oh, look at that tyre go. Come on, is it going to end up on top of the tyre veil? Come on. Oh. I was looking for a control tyre. That's a shame for a lot of the drivers in that pack. Big damage. One of them even sent off the wrong side of the concrete barriers. Your top 6 have closed up, though. Look how much closer Kasha and McFarlane are to the top 3. Freebies for Ben Snell and Brenton Hobson as well. How have they worked? 2:32 last lap for Snell isn't going to see them catch the top pack.
Aaron Russell's been the big winner out of this. He's broken away from Hobson and Snell because he was fighting with them only a couple of laps ago. And look at the gap behind Aaron Russell now. It's 5 seconds back to Ben Snell, and Russell is within the potential win in this lead group.
No hint of fuel saving from anyone in this top pack just yet, is there?
Well, Aaron Russell should be pretty decent at understanding how to fuel save across Mount Panorama. Of course, raced in 2 Bathurst 1000, so should know a little bit about it. A little bit different machinery though.
Not afraid of that apex curb there. In first gear through the elbow and then down to the power into second and third and downhill in the slipstream. He's going to pick up a lot of speed. But is he going to lift and coast it into the chase? He's going to have a massive, mammoth toe here. The speed right now, 210, 215 kilometers an hour. Is he going to hit 220? He's going to hit 220, 225. And he looked like he kept it pinned most of the way down towards the braking zone.
And this group still pulling time away from the group behind because they're not fighting with each other. That's very, very important to notice that you can see this group aren't fighting. They're all content just to stay single file, wait a little bit longer, wait for the end of the race before they break out and then turn it into an all-out war. They know that their aim at the moment is to make sure that it's only these 6 cars that can win this race. They don't want those guys behind closing in, and the way that they will close is by fighting amongst themselves.
Still mainly 2-minute 31s in this pack. The fastest was Aaron Russell, who went a 10th shy of setting his personal best lap of the race. So they're going quick. Definitely going quick in this top pack at the moment. Jack Boyd back to being the leader of the pack, as he was for a long, long time early on in the race. But then he hasn't had that experience that almost everyone else has of, you know, feeling what the slipstream and the run is like down Conrod Straight towards the chase. When and if someone attacks him on the, you know, last couple of laps, he won't quite have that understanding of the rhythm and the timing in the pack that everyone else has learnt cutting their way through the field.
I just want to talk about something else for a second. Brenton Hobson leading this championship, but still needs a good result here to make sure that he takes home the cash. His pace is not good. I'm guessing that the damage that he's got to his car is hurting him. Last lap by, he was 3 seconds, 2.5 seconds slower than the likes of Aaron Russell. So he is not going too well, and you can see that Ben Snell, who he was battling with not that long ago, is pulled out of the draft range.
Still looks super committed in the corners, so I wonder if it's sort of straight line speed related. I'll keep an eye on it this time. He has not been able to get within a second of Snell. At these kind of speeds in 6th gear potentially, he might still be able to haul in just a little bit of a slipstream. That live gap, just a little bit still on Snell. Which of course means that he's going faster than him.
It's not enough though, is it? Like, it's not what you would normally see with the draft.
No, only hitting 215 for Hobson.
Yeah.
The steering looks straight, so it's got to be that he's just missing that, you know, 2 kilometers an hour that he'd have in hand otherwise.
Yeah. And it could even be that it's just not giving him the grunt that he had previously in the race. He just, you know, not able to get to full throttle as quick as he was before, or, you know, not giving him full power as it was earlier. It's Textar McCoy deciding to not worry about the racetrack and just use
McCoy mowing down the pit straight there. It was, oh no, more and he's shot past turn 1 into the runoff. Find the clutch, son.
Looking for the campgrounds.
No, he's looking for a tow truck.
Yep, he's decided to take the tow. I was about to say that he's maybe designing the all-new Bathurst Rallycross circuit. He's decided against doing that.
It'd be a fun hill climb to actually just go up that road that leads to the campgrounds. He went up there and then turned left. It would lose a lot of time when he had to stop at the entry and they check. Yeah, no, and then they check the boot for if he's got any glass.
Make sure that he hasn't got a jar of Vegemite in the back seat.
Top 6 is the story of this race as the laps keep counting down in this Enduro Australian production car E-Series. Round 3, and a big race it is, 30 laps at the mountain, especially for these kind of cars. Look at them all just landing across the curb, taking the straightest line down the S's, and then braking to turn it through the dipper. We'll flat out through these little kinks until they're on the brakes, trying to take a good line through Forest Elbow, maximise that speed down Conrod Straight. Do everything you can to maximise the speed onto Conrod Straight, as that camera angle very handily indicates. 3 to go when they get to the line. Hides has been very, very kind in second place so far. Still just pushing Boyd along.
Wondering if he's almost trying to force Jack Boyd out of fuel. If Jack Boyd's, you know, all the other guys are able to fuel save a little, even if they are bump drafting and pushing the guy ahead, they're still going to be able to drop their fuel or their throttle percentage. If they're pushing Jack Boyd along, they're forcing him to use 100% throttle the whole way. Could this be a ploy to try and make Jack Boyd use all of his fuel and maybe he can be short?
I just feel like Boyd's too clever for that to have gone on for this long. He'd have pulled once this pack of 6 broke free. He'd have pulled to the side and given it a big lift early down Conrod Straight or something, and just dropped into the peloton for a couple laps. I just can't see them forcing a mistake out of that out of him when he still had options. 10 laps ago he had options. 4 laps ago he had options. He's got options, and here is those drivers who still needed to pit coming in. Andrew Hobby, Greg Holmes. Are we going to see... Have we seen Star McCoy pit?
He towed back to the pits and
that's right.
decided to finish his race. So those guys that were on the alternate strategy have now ended up out of the race. Not sure exactly how Techstar McCoy ended up where he did. He just sort of went straight ahead and then decided to quit. So a little disappointing to see that, but sometimes happens in these races.
It's just a bit bizarre. Is that a defensive line from Boyd at the top of the hill?
It was definitely not the normal line.
Oh, what's he doing now? Last lap was a 2:31.
You could be using defensive lines as a way to be able to fuel save.
Fuel save across the top of the mountain where he knows he can't be passed. Yeah.
Use a line that's just a little bit more shallow than normal, just in case someone cagey like Caleb Hydes, who is very, very skilled in these cars, could be able to make a move at somewhere a little abnormal. It's the only thing I could sort of to put it down to, other than a mistake, which very, very uncharacteristic for Jack Boyd to make a mistake.
Here we go.
Caleb Hydes has decided now's the time.
Caleb Hydes has his nose in front. Caleb Hydes is leading the race as they go side by side for first position, and he takes it away before they even get down into the braking zone for the chase. Jared Hughes also thinking about having a little bit of a dig at Jack Boyd. Really still packed up for our top 6. It's going to be 2 laps to go. Caleb Hydes has maybe hit his fuel number, maybe hit the limit of his patience. He says, I am going to lead a lap at Mount Panorama. He gets a bit of a love tap, and that keeps going through the final corner. In fact, everyone hits everyone's bumper in the top 5 through the final corner as they take the line for 2 laps to go. Barney up there in the Armor All stand is going to be reaching for that white flag in about 2.5 minutes' time. It's starting to get interesting for our top 6, and it's going to get interesting when they try to put a lap on Philip Paradiso in purple, who you can see just up the road as well. Does Boyd respond? Boyd's just going to push him along. So Boyd is going to leave Caleb Hydes in the lead, at least for this lap. But then he looks to the inside, but he's on the brakes early. He's backing out of it for Griffin's Bend. But in a way, I think just trying to stop Hughes trying to take second place away from him. Did that just to try to hold into second. Hughes is right at his bumper, and he's going to have to defend the inside of the cutting with 2 laps to go. Jack Boyd in second. Cash is also on an abnormal line, but looking down the inside of the cutting is Cash, and looking down the inside of the cutting is Jared Hughes, and they go 2 wide, 2 deep over second place. Caleb Hydes has been given a huge free kick here as well.
I was wondering if Jack Boyd got out of that and was happy and content to let Caleb Hydes go as yet again another fuel saving opportunity, but now can't do any fuel saving now because he's got to close that gap up as quick as he can. It's at just on half a second. They'll be hoping that it's only 2-3 tenths by the time they get to Conrod Straight, and if it's not, that's a huge advantage to start the final lap for Caleb Hydes.
Can't flash the headlights in these cars, otherwise I think Caleb Hydes would be doing it. They're getting a lot closer to Paradiso, and in fact he might factor into play as they come down toward Forest's Elbow as well. It's let Boyd and everyone else catch right back up. The ultimate time through Forest's Elbow for our leading 6. Well and truly clear of Brenton Hobson and Ben Snell battling over 7th and 8th, but Hobson's still running in 7th. Bit of a close moment there with Paradiso as well. He might need to roll really out of the throttles. The whole freight train is going to come down Conrod Straight towards the chase to decide who is going to lead the start of the final lap. It's still Hydes in front of Boyd. Boyd's right at his bumper. Jared Hughes, massive move from third. He's looking to try to get down the inside. Hydes moves across to defend it. Hydes still going to hold on to the lead, but Jared Hughes is getting aggressive as well here as Jack Boyd has to dip 2 tyres into the grass. Still McFarlane, Kasher, and Russell right with this pack, still in the picture as we come to start the final lap at Mount Panorama. Hughes, and trying to get aggressive with Jack Boyd, has opened himself a little bit up to Corey McFarlane. Caleb Hydes is going to lead them as they start the final lap of the race. Adrenaline at its peak. These guys are getting super racy because there is money on the line at Mount Panorama, and more than anything else, there is glory when you go endurance racing at Mount Panorama. Up Mountain Straight to the middle of the road, to the right-hand side of the road. This is defensive from Hydes because he wants to lead across the top of the mountain. What is Boyd going to do? Boyd's going to push him, but again, this leaves Jared Hughes in third to work up a huge head of steam, huge momentum, and he's going to look down the inside, but he's not close enough on Jack Boyd. But he's going to make him think about what's in front, what's behind. Our top 6 covered by a second.
This is awesome racing. These guys are leaving it all on the line here. And they're going to try and do everything they can to win this final race of this 3-round championship. Yeah, I don't know who's going to win this one as well. These are the sort of races you love at Bathurst, when you've got cars ready to fight, ready to pounce, and you don't know who in the lead pack is actually going to be the winner of the race. Don't forget, there's still a little bit of question marks around whether they can all make it on fuel as well. That makes it even more exciting.
Some of those may be gone away. Looking down the inside, a skyline. Corey McFarlane, is that going to work? It's not. But across the top of the mountain, they got even closer. All of them bumper to bumper. 7/10 to cover 6 cars. And Caleb Hydes is going to feel immense pressure down Conrod Straight on the final lap here, knowing how the slipstream works for these Mazda MX5s. He's only a car length in front of Jack Boyd, but maybe that stops Boyd working up that speed, working up that momentum to cleanly get around. The helicopter's the only way to look at it because Jack Boyd is looking for the lead. Jared Hughes has a roadblock in front of them. He's looking for space. There's not a car width there. He's going to lean on Caleb Hydes. Hughes is going to have to roll out of the throttle. This sees McFarlane come through the third. Ryan Kasher is the fastest of everyone in the pack, and Jack Boyd leads them into the chase, defends the braking zone down the inside. Huge move from Kasher, really loosens up Caleb Hydes. He's going to have to shortcut the chase. Where's he going to rejoin? Side by side with Jack Boyd, side by side into the final braking zone, but that's a slowdown for Hydes. Boyd should be protected because Kasher and McFarlane can't come at him. And from pole position, Jack Boyd is going to win the race, but who's going to stand on the podium with him? It's going to be the Drop Bear boys, Caleb Hydes and Corey McFarlane, playing a little bit of teamwork right at the end. Brenton Hobson, though, championship leader, will cross the line in 7th, and I think that's all he needed to do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is enough, but we'll see very, very soon. We'll hopefully find out before we wrap up the show whether that is enough. You can see Phil Audie and Brody Cook nose to tail, and Brody Cook has a slowdown, so he's slamming on the brakes. Mark Johnson not quite close enough to get through. Sorry, that was Adam Sharp, who was rather slow there. Jack Boyd celebrating, and the 2 drop bear cars are Caleb Hydes and Corey McFarlane. My only question is, did they clear the slowdowns in time? I'm thinking yes, because they actually registered a lap time, but I tell you what, it would have been close.
Got to wait for everyone across the start-finish line before potential post-race time penalties get applied, but I think there was just a little bit of teamwork there. I think McFarlane knew that Hydes was going to have a slowdown and almost stopped the other drivers in the pack from being able to get down the inside and pass him. I'm not claiming anything untoward, but I'm just saying, you know, McFarlane had a right to battle to defend 3rd position, and in doing that, it really helped Hydes have the room to breathe to take 2nd. These are some of our last class cars that are going to cross the line. Aaron Oliver and your race winner's dad, Glenn Boyd, a little bit further back, but with a pretty sweet-looking Boyd racing machine. I'm sure he's quite happy for the family name to be on the top step of the podium.
Yep, if he can't win, the person that he'd be most happiest to be the winner would be Jack in the end. So great job from the Boyds. Nearly all across the line in the end. Luke and Jelly, remember we saw him in that battle earlier on with Lee Harrison and Aaron Russell. Finishes in the end in 19th position. And Greg Holmes crosses the line. The leader out of the admins in the end.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, poor Lee Harrison, one of the drivers who fell foul of some really, really close door-to-door racing here at the Mountain. Last driver on the lead lap is Wayne Losh. I think that's everyone now, and I don't see any change here. The podium is going to stay Jack Boyd, the winner, 1.1 seconds from Caleb Hydes and Corey McFarlane. Then Jared Hughes, Ryan Casher, Aaron Russell. So close in that top pack. The perfect racing for MX5s at the Mountain. Up front, they managed to keep it clean, but race each other really, really hard like we were expecting to see at the end of this one. Brenton Hobson in 7th did end up getting back around Ben Snell, and then the top 10 was completed by Ashley Norman and Damien Seeger.
The rest of the runners on the lead lap on this page here, Adam Sharp, Phil Audie, who was battling there with Brody Cook at the end, and Phil comes across in 12th, Brody Cook in 13th. Mark Johnson finishes in 14th position. Remember, he was in all sorts of troubles early on with wheels missing across at the Dipper on lap 1, so 14th in the end. Very, very good result. Matthew Hansford-Taylor had an unlucky finish to his race, finishes 15th. Aaron Russell, unfortunate night for him, in 16th position. Andrew Hobby in 17th. Glenn Boyd in 18th. Luke Angeli in 19th position. Wayne Losh rounding out the top 20.
And then the last third of the field, Greg Holmes, the last car on the lead lap, apparently. From Philip Paradiso, Texstar McCoy, we saw park it in the runoff at turn 1. Lee Harrison, Liam Caplice, Dale Carpenter, Mosmeroz, all in that big incident that, well, there was 2 incidents, one of them on Mountain Straight, one of them on Conrod Straight after the safety car restart. And then, Mosmeroz, Hayden Jackson, and Darren Whittington, retirement, finishing in 29th. Sam Lehman, 30th, didn't take the start of the race. I think that delivered exactly what you were hoping for at Mount Panorama.
100%. That was an awesome, awesome night of racing, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'll hopefully get some info around championship in just a moment. I've sent the message off, so we'll hopefully get a response back in a second.
While you're waiting, Jay, I'd love another helicopter replay of sort of 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th at the end there, because that was oh so close.
Look, ask and you can receive. Just give me a second.
Now that I know that's how it works and Christmas is coming up, I'll start writing down a wish list.
No, it doesn't work that way. You can try, but I can tell you now it won't work.
So I want to spend Christmas with Fonty's side of the family.
Wow, that's not very nice.
No, it's not. And then after this replay, there's a couple drivers sticking around that we might be able to have a chat to. I was waiting for some of them to appear. I know Jack Boyd and Caleb Hydes and Corey McFarlane all know how to find their way in here. They will do it. Here is that battle for the lead. Hydes is just, I think it was just Hydes versus Boyd. Hydes could have gotten down the inside, but with all these other guys around, couldn't happen. Ryan Casher was deep in on the brakes. Now look at McFarlane in 3rd, just holding the inside here. Compromises Casher. It blocks out Jared Hughes. It's how you'd race these guys even without your teammate having a slowdown. And then, almost 10-pin bowling right there at the end. 3 wide for 4th, 5th, and 6th as they cross the line as well. Really, really close finish for these MX5s.
Aaron Russell had a head of steam up, but he just couldn't get through to steal any positions away. Go for it. You can interview whoever you would like to.
I was thinking we almost go double trouble on...
Go for it. You can do that. I've also received word. Countback is currently in process between Jack Boyd and Brenton Hobson for the championship win.
Wow. Well, I think we can touch on that a little bit later on. In the meantime, it's the drop bear double trouble. You guys were clearly working together a bit towards the end here, but neither of you could steal that win away from Jack Boyd. How was the strategy and the pack racing for these cars at Mount Panorama?
Yeah, it was difficult because you could never really get out in front and just drive away clear. We tried, but it didn't work. And then on the second last lap, I decided I'd go for it, see what I can do, and try and make a break as much as possible. But didn't really work out as good as I thought it would. And Jack was just too close behind on the last lap. He was able to fly past, but still able to take second. And then me and Corey to get 2-3 is pretty good.
Yeah, 2 drop bears on the podium. Corey, how did you find it in the middle of that 6-way pack for the end? I mean, with 2-3 laps to go, you were coming across the mountain and everyone in the top 6 was bumper to bumper to bumper.
Yeah, it's super crazy to follow over the top of the hill that close to each other, because you have people letting off early to give the other person in front room, and then you don't expect it and you get into the back of them. But yeah, it was just crazy. And then every time you come down Conrod straight to the chase, you just think there's pretty much no chance you're all going to come out of that. But somehow we pretty much managed that for the whole race. And then yeah, at the final lap, saw Caleb get pushed off, and then thought I'd just try and see if I could, because I know there's a slowdown there, see if I could get him to come back on. And then yeah, it worked out pretty well, but it was unfortunate not to get the win.
Caleb, knew there was always going to be 2 pit stops today, but everyone pitting with that final safety car, what did that do? Would you have rather there was more variety to the strategy, or was it exciting that everyone had just reset on the page with the last half of the race to go?
Probably would have wished there was no safety car. I did a lot of fuel saving throughout the whole first stint, hoping to make my second stint go long, and then pull clear out in front by like at least 2.5 seconds and be able to take the checkered flag. But yeah, with the safety car, it made it all bunched up. We could all pit, and we all took the fuel that we needed. It was quite close. We only had like half a litre left in the end, because with the 18-litre fuel cap, we could only take about 5.5 litres in the stop. So everyone was in the same position. But yeah, it would have been nice, I think, for me if we were able to continue running full speed, but it's all right.
And Corey, any closing thoughts from the mountain after 30 very, very closely packed laps?
Not something I want to do again, if I'm honest. After doing Bathurst 1000 yesterday, 100 laps around there, another 30 in a car that is just so painfully slow is not enjoyable, no matter how good the racing is. So yeah, it's fun at times, but just yeah, 30 laps in a car that is so slow seems to go forever.
Thank you for that, Mr. Wet Blanket. Guys, any shout outs from Drop Bear? Final thanks to give.
Caleb.
We'll say thank you to you. We'll say thank you to Tom and Dan and the rest of the team at Drop Bear. We'll also say thanks to Nkosi, HRS, Sam Blacklock Media, and Revolution Race Gear, and then Sim Speed and everyone that puts this series on.
Also a big thanks to Matthew Kefford for hopping in and giving us the fuel numbers and that, and making it entertaining as always.
Yeah, master spotter.
Sounds like there's a story in that one as well. Congratulations, guys, and thanks for showing up all 3 of these rounds.
Cheers.
Thank you. Have a good one.
I'm on the edge of my seat. Wait, let me start my drum roll.
Just realised my mic was muted on the broadcast, but yeah, we have a champion confirmed. Congratulations, Brenton Hobson, who has won the championship by 12 points over Jack Boyd. So $400 cash, courtesy of Simbriggs and Phoenix Smokers, heading Brenton Hobson's way for winning this championship. So well done, Hobbo.
I think it was consistency in the early rounds that really paid off for him. You know, that was that Oran Park round where he won 2 races and I think finished the other one second, and there was a little less consistency there from Boyd. And then, of course, at Phillip Island, consistency for Brenton Hobson as well. Put him in the position where he just needed a top 10 here, really, it seems, and he got that with a 7th place. I think there's someone else who can talk us through that, though. And
Go for it.
Hello, Lee Harrison. we just said Brenton Hobson, series champion. Do you want to say it again?
Yeah, look, I think on preliminary quick math in my head, I think Brenton has taken the win in the championship by around about 12 points, I think, there in the end. So, yeah, 7th place, I think, was enough to seal the deal for him.
It was really, really exciting racing on the broadcast. So I think you can hang your hat on that, even if your race today was a little less exciting. Do you want to give a quick word about that?
Yeah, look, it is what it is. You've got to expect some unfortunate, happenings in a draft effective race like this. It only takes one guy in front of you to make a small error and you're involved in someone else's crash. So unfortunately for me, that's what happened. I thought I'd played it quite well early on in the race, and oh well, it is what it is. Hey, you win some, you lose some, and you unfortunately can't win them all.
Now, a nice little prize packet isn't possible without some great supporters. So who do you need to thank? Who do we need to thank?
Yeah, so big shouts to the guys at Simrigs. They came on board as the major sponsor for the whole series and have stuck by us for the 3 rounds for this Australian production car E-Series Championship. So without Simrigs, the prize packs would not have been able to be put together. Again, like I said, I think in round 1, I've recently bought myself a nice rig from Simrigs, and it's the most comfortable thing I've ever sat in, and I could spend, I could fall asleep in here tonight after all this. But as well as Simrigs, you've got Phoenix Smokers, again, barbecues and smokers. If your family's into meats and stuff, can't speak highly enough of their equipment. It's good Australian-made product, and get stuck into it. Wolfchester Automotive Industrial Consumables and Duo Trading, everyone plays a part. They just all chipped in, they all hosted sessions, they all helped out in some way through the last 3 rounds. So without those 4 companies coming on board, there's no way that this would have happened at all. And then I guess like the last shout out has to go to you guys. Rock up every single time, on time, throw on an awesome broadcast. Everyone goes back and watches it from after the race, and it probably annoys our wives and girlfriends, those of us who are lucky enough to have family, and we can't again do this series without the support of yourselves. So massive thanks to SimSpeed Esports Network for everything that you guys do as well.
Beautiful, thank you, Lee.
You're very welcome.
I think that's everything then from Mount Panorama. What an exciting enduro on the mountain for Australian production car E-Series. Jack Boyd with the pole position, with the hard-fought win after 30 laps, but Brenton Hobson with the championship. Thanks for joining us on SimSpeed TV. Make sure to subscribe across all of our platforms, because there is plenty more racing throughout the week, every weekend, all sorts from around Australia and the globe on SimSpeed TV. I've been David Haynes, Jay Kennedy alongside me, also with the production, with the replays, and gratefully obliging all of my little requests. Thank you to him. Thanks for joining us. See you again.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rhythm, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my god!
big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?